I started manifestation. My parents had just gone through a divorce. My mom was really just struggling. She had like bills coming in, couldn't afford it. So we read the book, The Secret, together. It changed our lives. When we would receive a bill, we would joke and be like, we just got a check in the mail.
Give it a year, I bet they'll call you a genius.
On today's episode is Glen Coco.
Hi, everyone.
Our next guest initially began his career in Baltimore, but quickly stepped into the big city game when he moved to New York to assist with styling for events like New York Fashion Week. He works with an impressive roster of A-list clients, including Kourtney Kardashian, Kylie Jenner, Demi Lovato, Shay Mitchell, Nessa Barrett, and Dixie D'Amelio. Please welcome to Under the Covers, my friend Glen Coco.
Thank you for having me.
Clap, clap, clap. Okay.
I want to say I was like 19.
Okay.
I started looking for jobs, started receptioning at a salon, and I was so fascinated by how successful the girls were in the middle of a recession. Like everyone was so busy and there was an influx of people, and I was like, wow, this is wild that this is like a recession-proof job. My first initial thought was I want to open up salons. And then I started to notice the girls working, and it was so fascinating to me. I'm like, why are you picking up that hair like that? And why are you cutting off? And how do you know how much to cut off? And why are you mixing this with that? And they were like, you're really annoying. If you like it so much, you need to like go to cosmetology school. So I left in the middle of my third year at Penn State. And then I went to Philadelphia and went to Aveda Institute and then got into hair. And I really fell in love with the craft. I worked at a salon part-time and then went to school part-time or full-time. That's when the Kardashians started picking up. Like the show was really taking off and social media had started. I don't remember saying this, but a bunch of people that I went to cosmetology school reached out to me after I started working with the Kardashians. And they were like, I remember when you used to say, I won't stop until I do the Kardashians' hair.
Holy moly.
And it like really came full circle. I'm a true manifester of my entire life. And really when I set my mind to do something, I just keep repeating it until it just becomes truth. That's, I feel like, what has guided my entire career.
It's interesting because I just opened for Coldplay and they were my favorite band my entire life. Mm-hmm. And ever since I was a kid, I thought I want to perform in a stadium. I've been trying to question, like, was that manifesting? How does manifesting come about? Like, what are your thoughts on all of that?
Well, I think for me, number one, you have to almost believe that it exists already. So for me, I kind of have this appreciation that, number one, I have the power to do it. Yeah. Number two, I have the ability to do it and that it's possible. And I think as long as you sit in those feelings it's not just one time you think about it and like, 10 years later, you're like, wow, I manifested that. That's not how it works for me. You know, every time Coldplay comes on the radio and you imagine yourself performing with them or even being at their concert, it's a visualization for you. And as long as you think about it and it becomes a constant visualization, then it becomes your reality. I started manifestation. My parents had just gone through a divorce. My mom was really just struggling. She had like bills coming in, couldn't afford it. She would just kept talking about how broke she was or how this job wasn't working out. And she was so down on herself. So we read the book, The Secret, together. It changed our lives. When we would receive a bill, we would joke and be like, we just got a check in the mail.
Oh, I love that.
And like,
was this you being a good son? Like, were you like, let me figure out how to help my mom out?
Yeah. Someone had told me about the book and I was looking for a way to help her. And we dove in, and everything that we did from that point on was a version of manifestation and a version of using the law of attraction in our favor. Wow. And it eventually just took control of my life.
I love that. Okay, take me back to like cute little Glen Coco, who wasn't Coco yet. But where did you grow up? What was your childhood like? Did you dream big?
Yeah, I feel like I did dream big, but I grew up really religious in a small county called York, Pennsylvania. I was born in the Bronx and we moved when I was like 4 or 3. I would say I dreamed big, but I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness in the church. We went to church 3 to 4 times a week, and religion and school were like the only 2 things in my life. When I decided to go to college, I literally applied to colleges like maybe 2 or 3 months before you graduate, which is pretty late. Got into Penn State, like a local campus, had to, fund my own, like not fund myself, but apply for my own student loans and stuff. So,
but what gave you, like, I assume that based on what you said, your parents weren't pushing you to
not at all
go to college or like where did your drive come from?
I honestly don't know, because my dad has had the same job for like literally 3 decades.
Wow.
He like sands furniture and he's never wanted more. My mom has been kind of the same. Like she's been accountant forever. Do you want your CPA? No, I just want to be like a bookkeeper. They've always just like stayed. But I didn't have anyone to look up to that was like where I wanted to be, which is kind of nice in a way because nothing really like molded me. I let my own inspirations kind of take control and find out for myself the life that I wanted. And I'm still figuring it out. Like I've been doing hair for almost 11 years and I started acting 2 years ago, and that's like my new passion.
I'm so curious though, because was there a part of your childhood where you thought, I'm going to be a Jehovah's Witness my whole life and I'm going to get a local job and stay in this county and that's good?
No. I think for me, I knew I didn't want to be in the church because they had like essentially disassociated me when I was 17. I threw a party at my house when I was like a senior, and the church got so involved with it that I was just like, this is so excessive. Like I definitely don't want, you're pushing me further away from how I already think of you. And then instead of looking for a cosmetology school locally, I searched like best cosmetology school on the East Coast, and Aveda popped up, and that's how I ended up even bouncing to Philadelphia. I was so scared to move away. I think when I first made that jump to Philadelphia, I was like, okay, this is easy. It took the fear away from like bouncing around and starting over in a new city.
And so you said that there was a recession happening. You got a local job at a salon, and then...
And Outback Steakhouse at the same time.
Hell yeah.
2 jobs.
That's like a natural progression. At the time, did you think I'm going to pursue this like on a whim because this can make money? Or did you think like I just found my life passion?
At the very beginning when I got that job, no. I thought it was... I honestly was just worried about paying my car. And so my only goal, which is why I had 2 jobs, was to make sure that I could pay my car payment. Because my mom was like, I'm not helping you. Like, this is all you. And I was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
That's when it clicked. Like once I was actually at the salon, I was a front desk person, but literally I would never be at the front desk. I'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I love that. So you graduate cosmetology school. There are so many people that do that. Where did you get your first job from?
So my first job was back at my hometown. I moved back home, and it was a salon called Indulge. I hated the environment there. Coming home was not for me. I was just like, I missed the city. I missed the environment. I missed my friends. I was like, I need another big city. So then again, I'm like, best salon in Baltimore. I had heard through my ex's cousin that there was a new Aveda salon opening. I was like, that's my spot. That was like my next move.
And did you love it?
I did. I loved everyone that I worked with there. It was a completely different environment. And it was through working there that I started traveling to Fashion Week. They just had so much freedom. Like you didn't have 2 weeks off. Like you could take off whenever you wanted. It's just like your schedule.
Is it because Aveda is such a huge brand and they were working Fashion Week, or?
They have this program where you can take runway styling class. And if you take 2 days of the course, then they bring you back to work backstage. So that's how I initially started getting into that. And I would do fall, winter. I would do spring, summer. I would go back to New York and do bridal Fashion Week. I would go back during men's Fashion Week. So 4 times a year I was going to Fashion Week. And then I started to hate going back to the salon.
Yeah, because I was going to say, did you feel like every time you stepped into New York, I've made it. This is so cool. This is so much bigger than my hometown.
I didn't think that I had made it, but I knew that this was a part of hairstyling that people don't really get to see. Like, not a lot of people are involved in the fashion world. And I think being exposed to it, I was just like, what? I didn't even know this existed. But that exposure started making me hate going back to the salon. And as much as I loved everyone that I worked with, I was ready for more. I was maxed out. I think when I realized there was a cap to my income, I started to get hungry again. But even then, when I was styling in New York Fashion Week, I wouldn't get paid. It's really to just learn technical skills. Like that's the only reason you come back, and it's a cool experience. But they don't put you up. Like you have to pay your own way. So everything that I was earning at the salon, I would invest it and get my hotel, get my transportation. Yeah, money was never the thing for me until like I hit my max and I was making so much money at the salon, but not going any further. And I knew I didn't want to move to New York. Aveda had actually said that there was a fashion show in LA and you had to pay your own way. It was at Chateau Marmont. It was called the Vogue Fashion Fund at the time. I started doing this runway show, and I saw everyone who you can imagine at this show. I saw Kim Kardashian, I saw Kanye West. I'm like standing above, like looking out a window, mind you. But this fashion show that they used to throw every year, I don't know if they still do it. It used to be every October. It was called the Vogue Fashion Fund, and they take all these new designers, and Vogue puts them on the map, and there's a winner. The winner is just like seen by Anna Wintour as like the next label. But Aveda was the one that was like the brand sponsor. So I continued to work with them just because I saw the opportunities that they were giving me. But I remember, this is before I even knew Chrissy Teigen, but Chrissy Teigen was attending. I saw John Legend, like all out of this window. And I was so fascinated by celebrity culture at the time. And then I flew back home to Baltimore and was in tears. I was like, I don't want to go home. I was over it, like, and I was maxed out. I was like, I don't want to work 12 hours when I get back. That was in October, and I decided to move. I moved February 26th, and I did everything in my power from October until that February to
like,
just save, get an apartment, sell everything that I had, move my car, like everything. Wow. And I did it all.
With no safety net for when you were getting into LA other than your own savings. But like no gig lined up, right?
No. Once I made the decision that I was moving, I let the salon know that I was leaving, and then I looked for a salon job. And so I worked there for like 8 months. Again, was not my culture, and it was an assistant position. Yeah. Like not good.
When did your first break come?
Well, first I started doing commercials, and I did a Viacom commercial. I knew that was the celebrity hairstylist world was the realm that I wanted to be in. So I would DM a bunch of celebrity hairstylists, and I was like, hey, if you need an assistant, you need an assistant. And then finally someone replied, and it was that first commercial job.
And were you offering to work for free?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I was like, whatever you need me to do, like I'm an extra set of hands. And most times they would pay me, but it would be like $100, $150, and sometimes nothing. And this was not that long ago. So it's like working for free. But that's different when you're like learning things along the way. It's almost like you're having a free class. And when I look for an assistant, that's exactly what I look for. Like, I'm going to pay you, but also I want you to realize that even if I didn't, this would be such a learning experience for you. But yeah, I forgot where I was left.
So you were saying that you finally a woman or somebody said,
oh, yeah,
you can be my assistant.
Yeah, so his name was Eduardo Ponce. He did Paris Hilton's hair. And I think I was just his trial. But I met the director of the Viacom commercial, which was the biggest commercial I'd ever been on, even to this day. It was like massive. The director was Hannah Davis, who did like Ariana Grande's Thank You Next. But she was the director. And then she just had a roster of assistants. So I started doing the background to all her jobs. Music videos, commercials, whatever she would pay me to do. And it would pay like maybe $200, $300 for a 12-hour day.
Wow.
One time I did the Sorry Not Sorry music video, and I was doing like background dancers. I knew Cesar Ramirez, who was Demi Lovato's hairstylist at the time. And I remember I had already DM'd him like, hey, can I assist you? And he opened my text and never replied. One of the buns that I had done on one of the girls was like this yellow cool bun with like using all this like yellow extensions. And he shouts out, who did that bun? I was like, oh, that was me. And he was like, nice. And just like walked away. And so it took everything in me to be like, okay, I need to talk to this dude again. So I went up to him. I was like, I DM'd you and you never replied.
Good for you.
And he was like, what?
Balls. Yeah.
I was like, I DM'd you. I told you I wanted to assist you, and you never replied to me. You read it. And he was just like, well, can you assist me tomorrow? And I was like, sure.
Whoa, I just got chills.
So then that's really when I started assisting full time. And in the middle of me assisting, my Instagram was definitely like getting bigger.
How come?
I think just because I was posting his jobs and like saying like just assisted this job, my friends from back home were probably like sharing with their friends, like, and I had hit my like first 10K or something, or like 15K.
You must have thought like, wow, I'm really making moves.
I definitely felt cooler.
Yeah.
I was like, now I'm doing what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like work, which is the crazy part. Is like we would work such long hours, sometimes 16-hour music videos. And I would just have so much fun. I loved changing looks. I loved seeing the shots. I loved being behind the monitor. Like everything was fascinating to me. But Caesar used to always tell me, like, he's like, this is going to be short-lived. He's like, I can see your eyes. Like, you're ready.
Oh.
Like, he
like
knew.
He believed in your
He knew I was like.
potential.
Yeah. He knew I was like not in it to assist, that I was like ready.
And did you know that?
No, I was scared as hell.
Okay.
I was definitely scared to do it on my own. Also, like, I think the scale of clients he was working with, I realized there are mood shifts. There are changes of you know, they're having a good day, they're having a bad day, or like cheering them up when they're having a bad day. Yeah, the clients. And I think I realized that that's an element I hadn't really practiced. You know, the hair I feel like I had down, but being the mentor and the like, yeah, the cheerleader, the friend, I had not gotten close with any person that I've done behind the chair like that before. That's an hour, 2-hour service and they're out the door. 12-hour day. Like, you have to be there for them.
So who was the first person that you were like, oh my gosh, I just booked this job, and I booked it not as the assistant, but as like the lead?
Chrissy Teigen.
Holy shit. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Cut that out. Beep.
So while I was assisting Caesar, my Instagram started blowing up. It got the Jen Akin, who's a celebrity hairstylist, who was doing Chrissy Teigen at the time, had a trip coming up with Chrissy Teigen that she couldn't make. And she was like, I saw your work. I know I haven't met you. She was like, but are you available
DM'd you?
on these dates? Yeah.
Wow.
And then she offered me that. And then there happened to be an event the next day. It was a beauty event. And I ran into her. I kissed her on the cheek and I was like, I can't believe this is the first time I'm meeting you. Like, I love your work. I'm so fascinated. And she was like, I'm going to get you that job. I did not even have a passport at the time. And the job was in Norway.
Whoa.
And it was like a full, by the time they confirmed the job, it was 72 hours later. So I got a passport in 24 hours. Oh, I was in full panic mode. I said yes to the job. And they were like, you have a passport, right? I was like, mm-hmm. Did not have one.
Holy moly.
Found this place on Beverly that like did it for a bleep ton of money.
Yeah.
And I think it was like $800 or $900. It was 24 hours and it was there.
Wow.
But Chrissy was one of those clients who never liked the same hair twice. She really helped me develop my technical skills. I was so busy. I called them my rich days because I was like working every single day.
Yeah.
Like if she was stepping out of the house, we glammed.
And then how did the Kardashian gig?
From then until now, it's been a long time since I've worked with Chrissy. It just kind of like bopped. Like Chrissy referred me to a few people. Like that Shay Mitchell found me through Chrissy Teigen. Adele randomly texted Chrissy and was like, I need a hairstylist, and she referred me to Adele. And then I just started meeting all these celebrities. And then I think you go to more events. I started doing Paris Hilton's hair. But I think, again, just like Jen Akin put me on the map with Chrissy Teigen put me on the map for all these other celebrities.
So I'm curious to know two things. One, what is a day or like week in the life of Glen Coco? And the second is, what makes you want to do acting? Like, do you just want to keep going and like, or are you like, wow, I really have a wonderful life and I'm chilling?
So a day in my life, it always varies. There'll be a time where it'll be a Monday and I won't know what I'm doing the rest of the week. And by the time Friday comes, I had already had like 5 jobs. But sometimes it's super last minute. Sometimes it's heavily involved with travel. Like on the 10th, I'll leave. We go to New York and then London and then Spain and then Rome. And then I think back to LA and then back to Rome. All within the span of like 4 weeks.
With one client?
Yeah, with one client.
Wow. Do you feel like there's a sacrifice of your personal life? Because sometimes when you're traveling so much for work, you can't really keep up with your friends or like keep a relationship.
Yeah. That's another thing that why don't all hairstylists make it to where I'm at, is because you have to be able to sacrifice your entire life. You are on someone else's schedule. And if someone calls you at midnight saying they want their hair taken out from what you did previously, like, you have to do it.
What do you think is motivating you? Is it like you're living this large life that's just like so appealing? Is it
family? Definitely motivates me, like having the ability to help my mom if she needs help, which she never asked for help, but I always tell her, like, if you ever need anything, like, I'm actually at a place where I can finally help you, so if you need anything, just tell me. That gets me, like, that's
going?
Yeah, that like keeps me working hard.
Number one dream that you want to achieve that you haven't yet?
I want to win an Oscar.
Hell yeah. You're in the right city. This is what's amazing about you that is the reason why I asked you to be on the show. Was I love people that are so confident in themselves that they don't care what other people think. It shows what you value, which is like real things that matter, not perception. I think a lot of people don't care about reality. They care about perception. For you to be at the top of an industry that is so competitive with so many dreamers says a lot about your character. And I think the fact that you grew up in an environment that didn't encourage you to dream big is amazing.
Thank you. That gets me emotional.
Oh, yay.
That was very sweet.
I'm so happy you're on the show. Thank you so much for saying yes.
Me too. I'm so happy
treat.
I did this.
Hi, my name is Leila Pari, and you're watching Under the Covers, my show about the risks taken, the mountains climbed, and the victories behind some of the biggest game changers shaping culture and entertainment today. Jeremy Fall!
Yes, chef?
Max Lugavere. Mari Llewellyn.
It's me!
Glen Coco. Drum roll. Graham Bunn.
Scott Hansen.
Greatest intro ever.
Give it a year, I bet they'll call you a genius.